Good afternoon. Are you guys getting tired of information about the R yet? Hope not. It's pretty exciting, this mirrorless stuff. It is going to be the future for sure. So it's breathing new life. So breathing new life into lenses for critical sharpness, everything. Hey, Rich Chapman. Gus. What's going on, Gus? So I'm just trying to keep with the tradition, but workflow pattern I have been doing is follow up after a shoot with a post-production pixel peeping and make a few prints. I thought today would also be a good afternoon session to dive deeper into the cameras, show actual, size comparison between the 5D Mark IV with the 50mm 1.2 and the R with the RF 50mm 1.2 and discuss some of my findings. So I'll give it a little bit of time here just to let some folks come online. I'm pulling up some images from the Cubs game last night. It was a great game. Good times. So the camera did really well, and again I learned more and more things because they just released, if you go to some of the other photography websites, I think Canon Watch has a post on the actual PDF that you could download of the manual. So I didn't receive that yet. It's soon to come, so I'm looking forward to that. And what I'm doing right now is I'm taking, I haven't yet even installed DPP with the raw converter, which Canon did give to me. I just haven't slowed down enough to do it. So I'm kind of tweaking an image. So I took, when I was photographing from the Cubs game, I did JPEGs plus RAW, but I haven't looked at any of the RAW files yet. And I took 3 files from the HDR and I'm putting together in Lightroom, and then I have some prints that I'm going to show you versus what the HDR effect was in camera. So I really didn't find that the HDR in camera was that bad, but I'm looking forward to a little bit more information here within the file itself. So I am just tweaking it, making a few changes, right? And do that. So Frank, what's going on? Hey, getting into a little bit of photography stuff, a little bit of change of pace, yeah? So that's cool. That's cool. I'm just looking in this image here. Yeah, that's got a lot of blur action going on due to the crowds. So I'm gonna go zoom out and see what's going on here. Now, that's pretty cool. All right, I'm just gonna do one other thing and then I'll flip it around. Fred, what's going on? Been playing around with this R camera, man, and it's outstanding. So let me grab the camera here and start off. Let me see if I flip the thing around, and I'll show you guys the 2 cameras. So, all right, now with all the information that's out there, we know now that it's the same image sensor that's in the 5D and the R, but the difference is the Digic 8 processor. So again, I've just been judging from JPEGs, and the dynamic range that I'm seeing just in the JPEG alone is amazing from the R because of the Digic 8 processor, so it's doing great. So 50mm 1.2 really wasn't spectacular to shoot, from my experience, anything wider than 2.5. Now you go into live view and you focus, great, 1.2 all day long, but it's a slow process. What's amazing with the R51.2 is it's fast, it's accurate, and because again we're bypassing a mirror box, it's direct focus and information off the image sensor, focus is outstanding. Size and weight, they feel really close in size and weight. It actually feels a little bit lighter, so I don't know that's unscientific, but this is better balanced. It is for me, for hand holding it. So that's a big plus, right? So let me pop this over here really for a quick second, and I've combined these images So I took 3 photographs, one on, one over, and one under. And I just wanted to see what it would do just by using the JPEGs. So I combined them in Lightroom, and now I brought them into Silver Effects Pro, which I still think is a pretty good program. So I'm going to bump up my brightness a little bit on this, and exposure, and just to see what we got here. Take that up a little bit brighter, watch the highlights, dynamic brightness just a tad, there we are, a little bit too much, and I'm going to send it to the printer. So I'm going to amplify the whites, amplify the blacks, give a little soft contrast, and keep it rich in our tones, a little bit more fine structure. This looks good. I think we could just use a little bit more contrast. There it is. And I'm going to put a tone on it. One of the tones that I like, just checking the filters to see which makes the field pops nice with which filter? No, not that one. So probably none. I'd say none. No filter at all. And I like to give it just a little bit of a color tone. One of the color tones that I really like is the coffee light. There we go. So I think that's going to be a beautiful black and white frame. So I'm going to save that back into Lightroom, and I'll send it to the printer, and then we can talk some prints. And then if you guys have any questions, pop them into the feed, and we can have a dialogue on this as we go forward. What I'm thinking about doing is collecting these videos up, putting them on YouTube. You know, give me your thoughts on that, see if that's of value. And then I was going to throw the images up. Hey, how's it going? I was going to throw these up onto my Smug Mug gallery, because then you guys can pixel peep away, right? Because as we know, when we're in Facebook, it kind of dumbs down the image a little bit. And even last night when I was sending photographs from the camera to the phone and up, that drops the resolution just a little bit. So I don't want to do that at all. All right, so that's good to go. I am going to send this over to the printer. So I'm printing them. I've been printing on different papers and really exploring the richness of the tones, and I have some great prints to show you guys. So we'll do that. All right. I know this is kind of the tedium, the boring stuff, but this is where the rubber meets the pavement, so to speak. All right, going to do Pro Luster, Pro Luster, Pro Luster. Good, good, good. All set. Send it to the printer. And while that prints out, I'll pull some of the prints over, and then we can pixel peep. So let's see who's on. Who's on? Mark, hello. Fred, or the ink meets the paper. Yeah, I like that, Fred. That's an even better one. Very true. Let's see. I've been trying to put this camera. Mario, welcome. Join in the conversation. So yeah, I was just wondering what you guys think it would be of value, because there is a little bit of effort to put them up. I'd take the JPEGs right out of camera and throw them up on Smug Mug, and then link that back to Facebook so that we could do that. All right, it's off to the printer. Cool beans. Excellent, I'll close this. All right, so let's pop over here and get some prints. So let me set this up so I could get you guys a straight down view of the prints. This should work like a copy stand, I hope. Here we go. Drop the camera the other way. This should do it, right? Here we go. All right, so these are from last night. And get the prints. So here's the in-camera. Let me see if I can frame it up just right. In-camera HDR. So it feels very HDR. This was the artistic one in camera. So this is one under, one over, one right on, and then combined in-camera JPEG. Overall, not bad. It really isn't. So when you look at it up close, it's got some nice tones, really sharp, did very, very well, right? So these are JPEG files. All right, now this one, I talked about it when I was doing it. This is handheld, which it did really well. This is 6 pictures, so it's vertical with the 24, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 images. And then I stitched them together in Lightroom. So, you know, this ends up being like 150, 200 megabyte file, but it's incredible. You could zoom in, look at all the detail. You could see people waving at you. So it's crazy cool, insane. So we could make this a wall-size print, no problem, man. It's just stunning, just stunning. All right, let me scroll here, see if I can see any questions in the feed there. Gus, YouTube sounds like a good idea. I hope so. I think it would be very useful for people making a decision about giving the R a try. Yeah, it has a lot of value. The one thing that you guys can't experience is the texture and the feel of the paper. So this is Hahnemuhle paper, and this is the William Turner, and it has this etching on it that's just so tactile and gorgeous. Now, this is a beautiful color image of Willow from the shoot on Sunday, and this was the 200-1/8. And I don't recall the metadata, but I believe this one was at aperture 4. So she was walking away from me, you know, in a slow kind of a run, a little bit of a run, turning back and going for it, you know, giving me expressions and stuff. But what's cool is look at the dynamic range in the JPEG and the way it printed. So, of course, I exposed for the highlights, but there's still tons of shadow information. Lots of detail within the shadow, and I think that's the magic of the Digic 8 pulling through, is we're seeing more dynamic range right in the JPEG. Now, I believe in exposing properly. I don't do anything like if you're shooting JPEG, which I was really mindful of for this shoot, you got to expose for the highlights and develop for the shadows. Because with JPEG, if you shoot too far to the right, the highlights are gone, they're gone. You know, you could probably go about a third to maybe a half a stop to the right. Unlike RAW, you could shoot to the right and pull it back. I don't believe in that. Like a lot of folks I hear with Sony, they shoot about 2 stops under and then really work the file in post-production to bring through the dynamic range. We could pixel peep on these on the monitor, but this is just gorgeous. So this was with the 24 to 105. And I'm down low, so it was a little distorted, so I did use the perspective control in Lightroom. 1 click, popped it right in, so now the building isn't vignetting and pitching or keystoning as it goes up. But again, gorgeousness, gorgeousness. This was lit with 2 ProPhoto B1s. The one in the front had the mini magnum reflector for off-camera flash. No, I'm sorry, the one in front had a Westcott rapid box strip, and the back, to give her some pop from the sky, had the mini magnum off-camera flash reflector. Now you can see a graduated tone if you look really closely in the blue. That's because I was using a Tiffin neutral density filter. Again, I was thinking in camera. So to hold the sky and the highlights up here, to hold some of the blue, I was using the graduated ND. And I got a little excited when I turned vertical and I saw this moment, I just photographed it. So my line isn't perfectly horizontal, it's kind of going like this. So you kind of see the blue cascading up at an angle. But it still worked out beautiful. I made 2 prints of this image with Willow in black and white because in person, the tones of the black are slightly different in the reproduction, and I really can't tell which one I like. They're both beautiful in different circumstances for what you want it to be. You know, this William Turner paper is quickly becoming my favorite for both soft color and black and white. If something's got a lot of color in it, I've been finding the Canon Pro Luster has been great, or the Hahnemuhle Photo Rag. And this is Hahnemuhle German museum etching paper, museum etch paper. So this is just beautiful, softer blacks, right? This is using the 200-1.8 with face and eye detect active, photographing at 1.8. So incredibly soft. I mean, incredibly accurate. What I meant to say is I did use a bit of a softening filter on this because you could see every pore. So I've never seen the 200-1.8 perform so well at 1.8. So that's what I mean. It's breathing new life into the image, right? So this was captured, again, I was photographing RAW, large, plus JPEG. So I do have the raw decode now, but I've not installed it yet. So this was an in-camera black and white. One of the last looks we did with Willow was kind of a monochromatic, really warm tone look. So this is at the Radisson Blu. So thank you to everybody at the Radisson Blu that allowed us to use the space in Chicago. But this is very cool. So this is continuous light. And this is the 24-1.4 at 1.4 wide open. So what I did is I used a Westcott ice light with barn doors in daylight white balance just on her face, so you can kind of see it's a narrow strip of light. And then the backlight, we just had a very bright tungsten light source to give her that rim light off the background. And then I purposely photographed it in Kelvin at around 6,500 to even bring out more of that warmth, going for in-camera artistry, so to speak. So if an art director saw this, they'd know exactly what I was going for, right? So he did lots of different things. All right, so let me pop this up really quick, check on some of the questions, see what's going on. Brian Coleman, how are you? Thanks for joining in. Mark, what's up? Can you rotate to the right for vertical? Yeah, so what's great, I should probably turn the camera so you guys, yes, so you can. So what's nice is I took the grip off. I've been showing the camera a lot with the grip on, just so you could see that it's really sweet. And if you take this big lens hood off, it feels even smaller. So this is the R with the 51.2, and it feels great in your hand. Very good feel. But yes, the grip does have all your vertical controls, the command dial, the shutter dial, your focus selector button or rear button focus. So it has full function, full control for vertical. So that's huge. And someone, I hope, remind me to go through some of the menu features that I figured out last night with the help of Drew McCullum, Canon tech rep, about getting true back button focus for sports. So last night, again, I'm doing this without manual, so I'm kind of figuring it out, because there's certain features in the R that are not in any of our other cameras. But I do like that Canon kept the menu structure identical. Gus, what do you got there? Can you view the RGB histogram in the EVF? You can. There's so much information that you can either have or not have by hitting the info button through your EVF. So you can have RGB, you can have a level, you can have brightness, you can have all kinds of information. Which focus point? Is it face detect? Is it whatever? You know, all that information could be seen. So I basically pared it down to I just wanted to see the focus point, a level, because I do have a tendency to drift to the left, and that's it. Because when I review the image, that's where I want my histogram to be. But you can set it up however you like. This is probably the most customizable Canon camera ever. All right, let's see. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? See if there's other good questions, Gus. I'm just scrolling through, guys. So again, give me some thumbs up if you want me to keep doing these. Mark, thank you. I appreciate, you know, the comment on the imageries. Let's see. There's a question. Michael Wick, does the EOSR allow you to shoot in Kelvin? Yes, it does. It gives you all of the options. So let's see if I could do it this way. Power it on. And if I turn the screen, oh, let me just do it like I had before. So I could put it here. I'll flip the screen over. And I'll go through some. Is it a pro version likely soon? I wish I knew, Gus. I have no idea. But I would love to see a pro version. Yes, as I said with this photograph, I used Kelvin. In fact, more often than not, that's all I use is Kelvin white balance. So let me see if I can get this lined up. And here, this is a good time to go through some of the menu features. All right, so we are going to turn this off, info off. Okay, so you have your typical cue screen that you have on all of our others cameras. So let's first go here. So our menus. The menus are identical in terms of the red menu, the AF purple menu, the blue for playback, our tools are yellow, our custom functions, and then my menu. If you guys aren't making use of my menu on your regular cameras, you know, you're missing out, because this is where I put everything that I want to use, right? So, okay, so if we go over, go here, and we go to white balance. So if we activate white balance, you could see we have all the white balances that we want to do. So we have auto white, and it's the same as the 5D Mark IV. If you hit info, you could have it for ambiance or white or whites. So that's great. Daylight, you have all your host of other ones, custom white balances. Oh, see you, Allie. Thanks for playing. And there's your custom white balance. Here's Kelvin. So yes, you could dial in the Kelvin setting, whatever you want it to be. And let's see if it probably is the same. So 10,000, yep. 2, and we could go down with the touch screen, or I'm still old school, tactile. And let's see if it goes lower than 25. Yeah, so it's the same as the 5D Mark IV. And yes, you can go to Kelvin with it. One thing, so let's talk about this auto FV mode. I got to look up what it stands for. So with one click, we can make everything an automatic feature and reset the camera, right? Or we could set everything that we want it to be. And this is cool. So auto FV allows whatever is highlight. See this yellow highlight? That is telling me what I could change. So currently, everything on the camera is in auto. So you could pick it up and it's like professional mode or program mode, whatever you want it to be. This is becoming my fast and furious new mode. So I used it a lot at the Cubs game last night. So oftentimes I want to pick the aperture and I want to pick the shutter speed. And then I'll let the camera pick the ISO. There you go. So whatever you change, you can do. Now, if I want and say, okay, I'm going to go to aperture priority. So now I'm in aperture priority in auto ISO. Oh, what if I'm in auto ISO and all of a sudden I bring the camera meters off of a dark background? Well, then I know instinctually I want to underexpose. So I could go -1 on exposure compensation. Or if I'm out in a brightly lit scene, like at the beach or something, I know in auto ISO it wants to protect the highlights. So now I could just make sure I'm in exposure comp and bring it up +1, +1 1/3, and I'm going to get a really good exposure at the beach. And then if I want, I could zero this out and say, okay, I want to pick my ISO. No problem. I highlight ISO, I pick that, and now we're basically in aperture priority. Right? So this is a very cool mode. Sorry, I turned the questions off really quick so I could see the menu. Jeremy, Drew, you should follow Bob. Cool, thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, share this out, you know, and there's a lot of information about the R that's out there, and I'm trying to put this thing through as many real world scenarios and shoots that I would encounter. How's the battery life been in my testing of the camera? It's been great. But again, I've been using the grip. I've not taken it out and actually photographed anything without the grip. So there's 2 batteries in the grip. So I did the Cubs game yesterday. I was using the live view a lot. I was using everything. I did a lot of video yesterday. And when I came home, I still had 2 bars on the battery. So I was using it constantly, and it was constantly on. So I'd say it's probably a little bit less efficient than the 5D Mark IV because I'm using this screen a whole lot more than I was. And I could turn that off. I don't need to use it. It's just I'm still in the learning curve of it, that we could turn this screen off and then see all the information just in the viewfinder. And you'll save battery, so that would be helpful. And there is, again, so many modes, like economy mode, that could be better. Miss Dawn Davis, I miss you. Can't wait for you to come home, honey. Can't wait. All right, so this black and white print just popped out from the Cubs game last night. And let me just grab this really quick and show you guys. I think I'm loving the black and white instead of the color. Like, it's so timeless and classic. Like, this could be in the 1960s. Not because there were no lights at Wrigley Field back then. All the way from Cape Cod, Miss Davis. Come home, we miss you. Your entire pack can't wait for you to be home, but we're glad you're having a good time with the girls. All right, let me talk about a couple other features here on this menu. So something that Drew helped me figure out is when I was setting up the camera, let me go into the AF mode. So see where it says continuous AF? I confused myself, and I thought that meant to have the focus points illuminated continuously. So I had that illuminated. So last night I was getting monkey fist grip. So what I mean by that is the camera's always focusing, even though I changed my functions so it would take focus off the shutter. But the camera's constantly focusing, so I had to do the AF on as a lock to stop and push both buttons to lock in on the focus. Well, again, that's just my naivete because no instruction manual, but we figured it out. So I disabled this, so now it's not continuously focusing. Then I come over here and you could go to your customize buttons. So this camera, you could customize buttons, dials, and then the touch menu bar. So right here, it's normally set for AF, start, and metering. So now I could go, like I have all my other cameras set up for back button focus, so metering start, and then I could go down here to AF on, and it is metering start in AF, right? So boom, cool. So now I could use this as back button focus, and the shutter button is just to take the photograph. But I do have to say there's a trade-up. So when we're actually using the camera, so you could see, you can move your focus around with your thumb. So you could do that in the viewfinder as well. So wherever you move the focus, it goes, right? But then you got to move your thumb over here to focus. So once you set your focus mark, I guess it's the same as using the joystick. You activate focus, move the joystick, get it where you want it to be, and then come back and focus. But I'm telling you, it's addictive to have your finger on the shutter button ready to shoot, and you're moving the focus point everywhere, because on this horizontal plane, it's probably 95% of it. So there's like 5,000 plus focus points. So amazing, right? So it's just, again, personal preference in how you want it to be. And it's so quick to change that up. You could change it at any point in time. There you go. So now it's back to shutter and then move the focus selector around. Whew, that's a lot. All right, man. Anybody want a pixel peep, or you want to, there we go. I could just throw these up online and you guys can take a peek at them there. Let me get this camera set up. It was very helpful when James was assisting, James Gustin, and we were able to have a camera operator. And then that way there I could just talk. So yeah, I've been using Lightroom to process JPEGs in the file. So here's Photo Mechanic, which Dawn and I absolutely can't live without. And these are all the shoots, right, with it. So I'm going to go through and pick some of the best ones, and then I'll throw them up. Some people had questions about high ISO. So let me pull up an image here so you guys can see. I wanted to gauge how good the ISO was in the camera, and also be able to photograph at a 1/1600th of a second shutter speed at 5.6 with the 100 to 400. you know, from the dugout. So let's do this. There we go. You can see. All right, so it's a great image. So let's pixel peep, right? So let me pull this around, and I'll turn it to forward camera and give you guys the scan on the metadata. Okay, so this photograph, again, I'm going to pop a few of these up in SmugMug Gallery. Look at that. So I remember when I was photographing for the Sun Times and exposing with film, or even worse, chromes, if you metered for the uniform, you lost the face and the crowd would go dark and there'd be no detail in the shadow area. You know, ColorNet gave us more latitude, but chromes are tough. So JPEGs are kind of the same way. So that's why I'm saying the Digigate processor has given us much more dynamic range. Now let's zoom in, right? You can see the stitches on the ball, right? It has a nice structure, but look at how crisp and sharp that is, right? This is 10,000 ISO. That's just insane how great that is. Now imagine if you process that in DPP and do a little noise reduction and, you know, all those sets of things. But I don't know, man. I'm pretty thrilled with the way this is, you know, so just to bother with it. You know, okay, let's go over here to a shadow. So there's great detail in the highlight. Remember, 10,000 ISO. And then we come over here, look at the darks in the right? We still have good information. Get the iPhone to focus right there, right? So I'll put a few of these up online and then you guys could see. There's another image that I really liked, and this is where shutter speed comes into play, is I remember photographing these games with film. You know, it was 500th of a second at 2.8 or 3.5 at 3200. Back then we called it ASA instead of ISO. So where's the one shot? I should just probably pull up all the reds. It would be easier. Oh, here. So check this out. So the player is getting out of the way. Now this is 5,000 ISO. I slowed my shutter speed down to 1250, but still that's amazing. So you even have a clean file. This is 5,000. The other file was 10,000. Look, you could see his razor burn, right? That's crazy. I remember, again, look at the dynamic range in the shadow area of his face. You don't need to dodge that. This is exposed properly. Check the histogram, right? So again, it goes back to good in, good out. But that's insane. That's 100% punch in at 5,000 ISO. Just crazy. And look at that ball just grazing his leg. Still got my timing. Miss Dawn Davis, I still have my timing. Look at that. Boom, right? Fun. Not a lot of game action yesterday, but I had a lot of fun with the features. Hopefully I could get back and do it again. One of the other cool things, let me come up here to show some of the, you know, cool stabilization features, is outside the ballpark, I was photographing at 1/5 of a second, handheld, right? Is it these? Yep. So this is 1/10 at handheld, sharp, you know. And then I also went down, here we go. So these are 1/5. 1/5 of a second, because I wanted that motion of the crowd, and this is not a place where I could put a tripod. So it was crazy. Here's 1/4, or 1/4 of a second, I should say. And how slow did it go? So I went 1/3, there's 1/3 of a second, right? So that's pretty gosh darn slow to be handheld and be in the crowd of people. All right, man, I've been rambling on long enough. I will try and get these up, you know, so share this out to anybody you know who might be interested in getting an R, who wants to know more about the Canon's first foray into full frame mirrorless. Share this out, give me a thumbs up, let me know you appreciate these, because it's a lot of effort and time to keep this pace up and keep up with our business. Can't wait to see you when you get home. Pick you up at the airport with Puppy tomorrow, Mrs. Davis. Hunter the Wonder Dog. All right, love you. Bye.